Time now for your financial forecast with Seth Allen from Cadence Financial Group at Raymond James. Welcome back.
Thanks, Thor.
The big story we're talking about right now, Boris, Brexit, Britain, a big win for the Conservatives last week. Why is this such a big deal for the UK?
Well, I think it's a big deal because it's given the UK government, Boris Johnson Conservatives, a clear mandate to withdraw from the European Union, and that includes certain trade deals and what have you. And of course, 3.5 years ago, and if investors recall, when Brexit first was announced or the referendum happened, markets sold off quite a bit. In fact, lost nearly $2 trillion worth of market cap as a result. This time around, markets seem to be responding a little bit differently in a more positive way to what is going to be the outcome starting here in January.
Wow, okay. And as we look ahead to the possibility of Brexit in January, is there a little bit of trepidation with the world markets, especially with the UK investments?
Yeah, I would say not at this point. We're looking at the British pound, for example, is on track to be one of the best performing currencies this year. So obviously investors feel confident about the process. And you know, one thing I always tell investors is that it's very important that when it comes to geopolitics, that there's certain certainty in outcomes. And I think now that this election is done, Boris Johnson has that mandate to move forward.
Okay, in other geopolitical news, China and the U.S., it's always a tenuous relationship. What's the latest right now with them?
Well, yeah, as much as it's been announced as phase one trade deal has been done, the reality is I would call it more of a stand down of trade tensions because A, we haven't seen the deal actually signed. B, we also haven't seen the Chinese come out and confirm certain parts of the trade deal. But I think the overall tensions or the trade tensions have been de-escalated.
So this is almost like a posturing of the two nations where they kind of take a moment to take a breath, if you will, and they kind of step back a bit to look at the whole situation? Yeah,
somewhat like that. I think in 2020 we're going to see more in terms of what's going to happen around trade. There's even some talk that we may not see phase two of the deal until after the U.S. election next year.
I'm glad you mentioned 2020 because this time last year it seemed like there was a lot of volatility going on with the world markets. Why was that in the first place?
Well, it's geopolitics was a big part of it, which we've talked about a few times. And in the U.S.-China trade tensions were obviously at the forefront of that. This year we seem to see a de-escalation in geopolitics worldwide, and markets have obviously been going to new highs here in North America and in some parts of the world.
Okay, so things are looking positive right now. As we look ahead to the new year, what should investors be looking at in terms of different industries or sectors for 2020?
Yeah, well, I think if viewers recall last time on the show, I talked about FOMO, or fear of missing out.
Right.
So one of the big things is that, yeah, this has been a very good year for the markets relative to last year. But as an investor, you shouldn't be thinking, okay, I have to jump in and own everything in the marketplace. I think you should take a step back, look at your asset allocation, maybe pare back your equities a little bit, add to some fixed income. And I think going into 2020, there's a few investment themes that I think have some longevity in terms of being good for investors. One of them is renewables or green energy.
Right.
Obviously, that has a lot of good public sentiment behind it, but I think that sector is finally starting to blossom. And we're also seeing artificial intelligence, or AI, the rise of machines.
Yeah, the robots, okay. But I mean, this is like big investment opportunity.
Absolutely. I mean, now the fact that we have big data that we can work with, AI is a perfect mechanism to basically create businesses around, and I think can be very good for investors. And then the third one, which was sort of started in Canada with legalization of cannabis.
Of course.
We've seen the ups and downs this year. Obviously, it hasn't been that great as an investor in the cannabis sector, but I am looking at the fact that we are going to be seeing cannabis 2.0, where we're going to see not just the growers, but some of the producers creating topicals. Other types of products that are more down the food chain in terms of consumption, and even on the medical side, we're going to start to see some things come out on the cannabis front.
Fascinating. Okay, some 3 key areas to look forward to there. And if people want more information, where can they get it?
Yeah, they can go to our website at cadencefinancialgroup.com.
Okay, thanks as always, Seth, and we look forward to chatting with you in the new year.
Yeah, you too.
Okay.